Good morning. This is Axel Merk, President and Chief Investment Officer of Merk Investments, with a risk off. Good morning here on Thursday, the 25th of June. S&P futures, they're off the lows. They're currently down 12 and a half. Bonds, the 10 years up 3 ticks, the 30 years up 14 ticks. 3-month treasuries are 13 basis points. 3-month LIBOR 30. Effective Fed funds rate is at 8 basis points. Gold is currently down a buck at 1760. West Texas is 38.33. That's up 0.8%. Brent crude is at 40.38. That's up 17 basis points. The dollar is mixed. The strongest currency is the Swedish krona. Since New York closed last night, it's up 40 basis points, followed by the New Zealand dollar. On the weak end of the spectrum, the weakest currency is the euro in the major currency space, down 25 basis points. This morning's jobless claims were a tad weaker than expected. It's interesting to talk about expectations when the numbers are kind of all over the place. And we get to know much more about these, what we call high frequency data these days. Obviously, jobless claims are the one high frequency data point that's been out for a while, but people hadn't paid attention to them too much. But what is happening is people are getting to know the deficiencies of some of these data points, and they're the best we got. But some states only report continuing claims for the 2-week claim, for example. There are all kinds of reporting inconsistencies within states, and it does matter if you want to be more granular. And let me pivot to the COVID data here. We get this surge in various places, especially southern states. And I obviously, being based in California, I pay attention to when California comes up. Every state has a little bit of a different methodology on how they account for these things. And so I'm obviously not an epidemiologist, but I am able to look into data series. And there are some sites that provide a county by county breakdown in California. And California is a huge, huge state in some ways, very diverse economy, very different types of places, the Bay Area, the Southern California, the inland, and so forth. And the surging cases we do have in Southern California. I'm based in Northern California, in Orange County, Imperial County, San Diego County, those sort of places. So mostly in the south, and then the southeast as well of the state. And so Disneyland has decided not to open Disneyland for the time being. That's just south of Los Angeles, in near one of these hotbed areas. At the same time, if you look at the numbers in the San Francisco Bay Area, they actually look very good, with trends trending as they should downward despite the opening. And so it really depends on you slice the data. But all that said, yes, Texas has a very concerning trend. And in many ways, the question are two things. Is one, obviously, how will they deal with it? But since I am mostly talking about the markets, the question is, what are the market implications? And people had priced in kind of a gradually opening, and now people realize this is more gradual. And I had a discussion yesterday that the virus doesn't discriminate, upon which I was ostracized. That of course it discriminates if you are from the social weaker area, if you're minority and this and that. You have a bigger chance of being affected, and absolutely that is correct. But it is not the virus doing that; it's the living conditions, other things that impact that. And the reason why I say and continue to say it's the virus doesn't discriminate is you just need one. On the one hand, you need a reproduction rate of less than 1 for the virus to fizzle out, and so it's a best effort thing, and that will work over time. But at the same time, you only need one person who is contagious to potentially induce a new outbreak, a new spread. And it's in that sense that it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter where that person is. And so if you are in an area where the infection rate is low, sure, we can ease up, because statistically speaking, the odds are much, much lower that we can catch the virus or will spread it. And the odds are much higher in areas where where you do have an outbreak. And so people do self-regulate. I would think that most people are less inclined right now to go to Texas than they had probably been even a week or two ago. Most of us don't travel much yet, unless we kind of have to. But and we've seen New York and New Jersey has put in quarantines that are state dependent, and so it's that sort of thing that we'll see more of. And the question is whether that's good or bad. I mean, obviously it's bad that the virus is around, but having the more refined approach to saying, all right, if you come from a hotbed area, you're not supposed to be coming. Um, that is in my view better than shutting down the entire country. Now, obviously, part of the reason I started saying, hey, I'm in Northern California, not Southern California, that if indeed things do get worse in Southern California and people are banning people to come from California, I say, hey, wait a second, I'm the good guy, right? I'm coming from the north, not the south. And so the question is, how far down that granularity can you get? And this does matter for international travel. The European Union, for example, the various countries within in Europe, they have all their little rules what they do within their countries. But then they said, hey, when it comes from outside of the EU, let's have the EU come up with guidelines and rules. And sure enough, the EU is not going to make a county by county differentiation of where someone from the US is coming from. No, they take the US as a country as a whole, right? And so that then impacts travel and that impacts commerce much more. There have been numerous exceptions for commerce in particular. Obviously, shipping routes and freight routes in general have been reopening, but it's in that context that from a market's point of view it matters. And of course, on top of that, we are in the political season, and so many of these things get politicized, um, uh, with the administration threatening, at this stage it's only for comments, that there will be tariffs imposed on Europe, and so I don't think any of that is helpful for the recovery, but we'll have to see how that plays along. Um, Anyway, but several speakers today from the Fed, also ECB has a speaker out today. Not sure whether they'll move the markets, but overall, I wish everybody a great day. Stay healthy out there and take care.